I mean, when you meet someone, you go, "Where do you work?" They don't even say Time Inc. They say, "I work for Money Magazine," or "I work for HBO," or "I work for Warner Brothers," and that management style was necessary for a 100,000 person, $30 billion kind of company. But it's very difficult when your thesis is convergence, bringing everything together. So,
do you think AOL today is as innovative and modern as it was at its peak?
No, no, and a lot of that has to do with just size. I think it's very difficult for very, very large companies that are driven by Wall Street, quarter to quarter kind of businesses to take risk. I'm very proud of where we've ended up now with the Capitals. And even though I tell everyone it's a public trust, it's a public company, it's a private company. We own it.
Right.
And it was a really interesting exercise, because when you work in a big public company, you'll always hear people whine, well, we can't make the kinds of investments, we can't take risks because of what Wall Street will say. And so several years ago, I looked in the mirror and I asked people, do you think this team can win the Stanley Cup? If that's the ultimate clarifying thought and deliverable for a sports owner of winning a championship, can this team do it? And it's very difficult to come to a, no, it can't.
Did you mean at that point in time, or did you mean with the right management and the right recruitment over time, do we have it within our grasp to achieve this goal?
I think more was the chemistry and the talent and that alchemy.
In existence at that time.
Could you win?
Yeah.
And once you say no, well, then you can fake it, right? In business, if your product is good, sometimes that's good enough. But in sports, if you're deliverable, if you're in it to bring a city closer together, get immortality. So I blew the team up. And I traded every star player, and I told everyone what we were going to do. I said, you're going to hate us. I know you're not going to understand, but we are going to get really, really good by getting really, really bad. And we're going to take a lot of risk, and I'm going to communicate to everyone, but we're going to rebuild the team kind of the right way. And it'll be a social experiment for all of us.
Social sports experiment.
And that's what you need to do sometimes in business to go from good to great.
But you had the means to do it.
I think companies have the means to do it too. I think you just needed the nerves of a stand-up comedian, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I had the Washington Post writing a front page story saying, if you own season tickets, go to Ted's house in McLean, burn your tickets, and throw them on his front lawn. And at the same time, I'd be telling the Washington Post, if you think we need reinvention, you are a petroleum-based product. Little CU gets the last laugh.
Yeah, well now you've got it's interesting because now you've got a lot of things happening, but one of them is you've got the Washington Times doing a list of the district's best owners, best sports owners, and number 5 is Ted Lerner at the Nats. Number 4 is Dan Snyder at the Redskins. Number 3, I like this, whoever owns DC United. Number 2 is Abe Pollin with the basketball team, and number 1 is you. So what makes you different from all those other guys that makes you such a great team owner?
Probably I talked to the newspaper.
That's not a small thing.
Yeah, I would have voted for Abe.
Now you used to be partners with.
I am. I'm still in partners. We own 45% of the building and the basketball team.
But you own much more of the hockey team.
Yes, we own 100%.
Yeah.
And when Mr. Pollin decides to retire or passes away, we'll buy the rest of the franchise. But
of the basketball team?
And the building. But you have to give
Abe credit. And
that's
a done deal.
Well, a small detail of like having to write a check, but
Well, that's a detail.
but Abe's won a championship, and none of the other people mentioned have won a championship, and that is the great things about sports. You know, you could argue Nathan's is a cooler hangout place than Bistro Bistro, and you know, pick a bar. You could say Google or Yahoo's a better company than AOL, but no one argues that last year the Detroit Red Wings were the best team in hockey, or that when Michael Jordan was winning championships. There's something very clarifying about a championship. And so in sports, you earn it. It's not a vote. It's not subjective. It's not some secret ballot. It's earned. And so that's what motivates me and the partners. We
You want to win.
Yeah, but there is a higher calling, and I do think that at this time in my life, I am really interested in businesses with double bottom lines. I think that is a trend that we'll see about businesses.
We'll get to that. So while we were still talking about the other sports teams in town, given your experience with your turning the Caps into what you wanted them to do and the opposition you faced at the outset, how would you assess the Learners' first year running the Nats in the new stadium?
Mark is a very good friend of ours. He's also a small investor in our teams. And Mark is going through, and I think watched what happened with us, which is no pain, no gain.
Yeah.
And you can make headlines and generate empty calories by keeping the press happy, or you can have a strategy and execute on it, and it takes a while for young players to fully develop. But then you wake up, like our team, where Alex Ovechkin is the best hockey player in the world, who's MVP of the league.
He's a superstar.
He's the best hockey player in the world. He's 23 years old. And we signed him to a 13-year contract. And so it feels like he's been here forever. And
he will be.
And he will be. But we forget, he could be my son. That's how young, Alexander Semin.
And do you take a fatherly attitude toward your players?
I actually asked him to give me $20 the other day, so he has more money than I do now, so I asked him for gas money.
Does the team make money yet?
Teams will never make money.
Never make money, so it's just for the love of the game.
You know how you make a small fortune in sports and filmmaking, right?
Filmmaking.
Star with a big fortune.
Yeah, well, but it supports itself to some extent, right?
Yeah.
It's sustaining.
Yeah, you
need to sell out the games to make.
No, you tend to see people buy sports teams, and it's not their primary business. It's a investment that has fun.
Yeah.
And it does good work, and it appreciates in value. That's the thing about
winning
sports
a Stanley
teams.
Cup
But they're not usually cash flowing positive.
Right.
Except for the Redskins, which are an anomaly.
And everybody else has Redskins envy, right? Because they.
I don't.
Okay, good. But you talk about you need to have money to have a sports team. Given the past few weeks in the global economy, do you have the kind of money that you had a month ago?
No, I have no magic wand that put up a.
Did you get hit hard?
No, because I don't have any debt, and I don't have any personal debt, and so. But I do think that this is not a short-term phenomenon.
No.
It still has waves to go through, and I'm not naive to think it won't affect lots of my businesses.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because you're really wonderful and revealing, and I just love your website, and everybody should go to it, tedstake.com. But you list all the businesses you invest in. I think it's something like 13. Is it
16.
16, excuse me, 16 businesses.